So I had to pick 10 fragrances out of my entire collection to keep for life. So stay tuned and find out which 10 I decided to choose. Hey, what's going on? Hunter here and welcome back to my channel. And if you are new, what I do is I make fragrance related content. So if you love fragrances, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and also make sure to follow my fragrance Instagram page. But that's right guys, today I'm picking 10 fragrances to keep for life. So pretty much if my place burned to the ground and I can only take 10 fragrances out of my collection to save, I guess these would be the 10. Now this is a tag video that I was tagged in. I know Ross over at TLTG Reviews did this video and left it as an open tag, but Tyler over at the channel Simply Fragrances actually tagged me to do this one as well. So I'll leave his video down below to make sure to go check him out as well too. So thank you for the tag, Tyler. But I'm also going to leave this as an open tag. So if anyone watching this that is a fragrance creator, definitely do this one and don't stress too much about it because I know this was hard. And for me, I definitely did not want to overthink it and spend days thinking about what 10 I would choose and stress about it. I just kind of schemed through my entire collection and picked 10 fragrances that I absolutely love and that I would love to keep for the rest of my life. So this is going to be in no particular order, just 10 fragrances in general. So let's start with the first one. So the first fragrance I am keeping for life is actually a very sentimental fragrance to me in my collection, and it was actually my signature scent for many years. And of course, I'm going with Tommy Bahama's Martinique. Now, this one you can actually pick it up at a very cheap price, especially at like discounters or rack stores. And with Martinique, you do get a ton of lavender. It's like a very aromatic, soapy, kind of a little bit of a barbershop lavender fragrance. It is a very good signature scent, especially if you love lavender fragrances. This one is a very nicely done lavender. Doesn't get much talk from Tommy Bahama. I know like St. Bart's and St. Bell and something like that gets way more talk than this one. But this is definitely one I'm going to be keeping for the rest of my life just for sentimental reasons as well. The next one up is actually one of my favorite niche fragrances in the world, and I absolutely love this one so much, and it works perfect for like date nights and a little bit in the colder weather as well too. And of course I'm talking about Parfums de Mali Layton. Now Layton does get a lot of hype, especially from Parfums de Mali. I think it is one of their most popular, and with this I get a ton of vanilla, I get a ton of apple. It's very warming, very comforting, and it actually sort of reminds me of like an apple pie. So yeah, I love this one so much. I've worn this one so many times for certain occasions, certain events and things like that, and you just cannot go wrong with Layton by Parfums de Mali. And in this list, I did want to pick some, try to diverse my collection or my top 10 for like spring, summer, then like fall and winter, even though I do lean more towards the fall and winter sort of side of fragrances. So it was a little bit hard, but yeah, Layton definitely had to make my list. The next fragrance up is actually a masterpiece in my opinion, and I rated this one a 10 out of 10 perfect score because I love it so much, and it is my favorite from the house. And that's another thing I try to do when I chose fragrances. I didn't want to pick multiple from the same house, sort of like my favorite per house. And this one is definitely my favorite. Of course, I'm talking about Creed's Royal Oud. Now this is 100% a fragrance I cannot live without. Obviously the name Royal Oud, there is some oud in here, but it's not the main player. I mostly get cedarwood and a little bit of sandalwood in the background as well. All in all, it's one of the most sophisticated, gentlemanly, luxurious fragrances that money can buy. This stuff just smells like $1 million. And I remember the first time I smelled this at Saks Fifth Avenue like 4 or 5 years ago. I was completely blown away, and it was my introduction to like oud fragrances and niche fragrances in general. And I actually preferred Royal Oud over Aventus, which I do love Aventus of course too, but Royal Oud definitely is the creed that is making this list. So the next fragrance up on my list is actually a rose-based fragrance because I love the note of rose. So I had to pick one rose fragrance from my entire collection to keep for life. And this is actually a new one that I've been testing, and I've worn it and I absolutely fell in love with this, so I'm so happy to include it. Of course, I'm talking about Zaharoff's Signature Rosé. Now, with Signature Rosé, this does come across like a very nice romantic red jammy kind of rose. It has different roses in the composition. I do have a pink rose that sometimes comes out. I have a red rose that sometimes comes out on my skin, which makes it very complex. What Claudia did with this one absolutely blows me away. It's so well done. But alongside obviously the jammy and red luscious rose, you do get a ton of warming qualities from some resinous such as amber. You have myrrh in here, which I love the note of myrrh. And of course you have oud as well in the very dry down of this fragrance, which does give it that signature pour homme touch to the flanker, of course, the myrrh, oud, and amber. And yeah, it's just so well done, guys. And on my skin, this stuff lasts a very, very long time, like 12 hours or so I got from last time I tested it. But yeah, I love signature rosé. I'm definitely gonna be keeping this one when I want a rose-based fragrance. All right, so the next one I'm keeping for life comes from a house that I had to pick one from them because I love so many from them, but I decided to go with this one because I think it fits perfect amongst all the other ones, and it's good for a certain season, so to say. So of course I went with Rosadouse Elysium Parfum Cologne. Now, it's no secret that this is my favorite from Rosadouse, and I do have quite a few of them, but there's just something so special about Elysium. It's a very complex freshie with one of the best grapefruit openings I've ever got my nose on, and it just transitions to the life of the wearing. You pretty much get 3 fragrances in one with Elysium, which is so crazy what Rosadouse does with his fragrances. He is obviously a master at his craft, and it definitely shows with his artwork. And Elysium, I'm definitely going with this one for like the warmer spring, summer months. This stuff just absolutely shines on your skin in the hot weather. So Elysium Parfum Cologne had to make this list as well. All right, so this fragrance is a complete work of art, man. I gotta tell you that. Absolutely one of my favorites, especially from this house as well. And it is a tea-based fragrance, which I love tea fragrances because they're so relaxing, so comforting. And of course, I'm going with Milano's Russian Tea. Now, if you caught my review of this one, I've hyped it up so much. With this one, it does have a ton of notes that do come out very vividly. Of course, you have that black, smoky Russian tea in the top. But alongside that, you have a very black, smoky leather that works perfect alongside that black tea. But you also have raspberry, like brings it a nice fruitiness to the fragrance as well too. And also you have a ton of mint, like a very cooling mintiness to it. You can actually detect all of those notes very nicely. And the way it's blended is done so well. Of course, you can see it's actually made from Julian Rasquinet right there, which I love. Milano lists the perfumer on all of their bottles and give credits to him, which is just awesome. But yeah, Russian tea makes this list 100% one of my favorite leather tea-based fragrances in the world. You have to check this one out if you're a fan of leather, tea, and mint. So the next one is from the house of Tom Ford, which I do own a ton of Tom Fords, as you can see behind me, of course. But it was very hard to choose, but at the end of the day, I had to go with my first love from them. And of course, I'm talking about Tom Ford's Oud Wood. Yeah, this is definitely making this list without a doubt. I was indecisive between Oud Wood and Beau de Jour, which is one of my favorite fougere fragrances in the entire world. But yeah, Oud Wood definitely surpassed that one just because this was my first love from them. It was my first fragrance I ever pretty much fell in love with when it comes to higher end fragrances. Obviously this is Tom Ford, so it is technically a designer, not a niche, but it is on the higher end designer thing. So Oud Wood is a very kind of crowd pleasing, spicy, oudy, kind of woody fragrance. And yeah, I love this stuff. It's so addicting. It's so intoxicating. Man, yeah, I love Oud Wood so much. It can be kind of like a signature scent as well. It's not too like funky, barnyardy oud, so to say. It is a little bit, like I said, more crowd pleasing oud. So if you're also just trying to get into oud and you're kind of scared or persuade away from that note because of how people talk about how it comes across, Oud Wood is one I would highly recommend as an entry-level oud. Even though it does not smell cheap, it does not smell entry-level at all, but it is a good oud fragrance to get your foot into the door and actually kind of enjoy oud for what it is. But yeah, Tom Ford's Oud Wood is making this list for my top 10 for life. So this next one up on my list, you guys, if you follow my channel, you know this fragrance absolutely had to make this list without a doubt. I think this is probably my most sentimental fragrance in my entire collection, even surpassing Tommy Bahama's Martinique, just because of the memories I've had with this one, the time of my life that I wore this one the most. And yeah, of course I'm talking about Versace's The Dreamer, guys. Man, Versace The Dreamer, what can I say about this one? It's either a love it or hate it from the house. A lot of people don't like this one because I would say that is actually the most unique from Versace, the most daring from Versace as well. And it's also not the most crowd pleasing, but I wore this one as my signature scent all year round, all seasons, all occasions. This was the fragrance that I just sprayed on every single day. I'm so glad that I did because Versace The Dreamer now holds a very special place in my heart, and I would never go my entire life without having a bottle of this stuff in my collection Of course, I still have this pretty much full 100 ml bottle that will last me a lifetime most likely, because nowadays I only spray this one on for very special occasions, or if I just want to spray this one on to relax in the evening, or if I'm going to sleep, spray this one on. Hence the name, the Dreamer. This one pretty much puts you in your dreams, and I just love everything about it. Of course, you get a rose, it's a little bit tobacco, and it's just so well done. So I highly recommend checking out the Dreamer, especially at the prices you can find these at. And it was the last fragrance made by, or created by Gianni Versace. So yeah, 100% in my list. All right, this fragrance that's coming up next is a niche fragrance, and it is one of my newer ones in my collection, but it is a fragrance that I fell in love with. I think it is my favorite fragrance at this moment in time. It just has all the notes that I love, the genre of fragrance, and of course I'm talking about Tiziana Terenzi's Urza. Now, do not let this white bottle deceive you, because this is a very dark, dusty, oudy, woody fragrance. So yeah, I don't know why they put it in a white bottle, but it is very deceiving. But with Urza, you get a very dusty quality to it, like from the dry fruits, but you also have a heavy dose of patchouli and oud. Now, I love patchouli and oud. Those two notes are my top 3 favorite notes of all time. Probably oud number 1 and then patchouli number 2, because those notes are just some of my favorites, and I love everything about them and how they smell and come across on my skin. But yeah, with Urza, you do get those qualities. Now, this is pretty much kind of similar to By Kilian Straight to Heaven with the dusty fruits and the patchouli. But take that fragrance and add the note of oud, and you will get Urza. By far a fragrance I have to have in my collection, just for a fragrance that I want to spray that is a patchouli and oud bomb. This is by far my favorite one. And it is very expensive, but the quality is definitely there. And of course it is a straight to parfum. But Tiziana Terenzi's Urza is 100% making this list. All right, so last but definitely not least on this list is a winter fragrance that I have to have in the winter time, just to bring warmth to me when I wear it. It just makes me so happy and makes me tackle the cold very well, because I hate the cold, guys. And of course, I'm talking about Maison Margiela's By the Fireplace. This is a must-have for the winter months when it's snowing outside. You spray this one on, and when you're wearing it, it actually feels like you're actually by a fireplace. And I love the smell of it. It's very smoky. You have some chestnuts roasting by a fire. You also get a ton of warm vanilla in the dry down of this. And yeah, this is my go-to for the winter. I've been wearing it for I think 2 winters now, and now I just cannot live without it during the cold months. And where I'm at, it gets very cold, sometimes in the negative degrees and a ton of snowstorms. So yeah, By the Fireplace is making that list without a doubt. So that is my top 10 fragrances that I could not live without, or top 10 that I had to choose if I lost all my collection, as you see behind me. Obviously, there are some fragrances behind me that would definitely make this list, like Interlude Man by Amouage. I had to cut that one out, and as you guys know, that is also one of my favorite fragrances of all time. But yeah, I decided to go with these 10, and not stress about it too much. But like I said, I did leave this as an open tag, so if anyone is interested about making this, definitely go ahead and do so. It is very hard, but excited to see what everyone comes up with. But at the end of the day, let me know in the comments down below any 10 that you guys would keep for life, and leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch all you guys in the next upload. Take care, everybody.